Time to check in with the Strimmies. Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tire. Dirt, late model, dirt modified, and big block modified talk. Now on MRN.com. Here now are David and Ashley.
Hello and welcome to Slingin Dirt. I almost said Wing Nation. I said Slingin Dirt when I was on Wing Nation. What a mess this has been today, but we appreciate you joining us.
No push start cars here.
No push start cars. Turn your phone off.
Sorry.
We're busy.
They knew we were on the show.
You're listening to Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires here on MRN.com. We are glad that you have tuned in. We have a great show for you today. It is Jason Feger. He has 3 wins on the Hell Tour this year. We'll chat with him in a second in the points.
Yep.
Brett Hearn, we'll have him preview Eldora. That's right. Super Dirt Car is at Eldora. He is one of 3 winners, I believe, because they haven't been there in 10 years. Yeah. So we'll have him talk about that and see what he has to say.
Talk about his race he had.
Yeah, absolutely. Big Show 8. Hunter Marriott will also join us. He is the Dakota IMCA Mod Tour champion. So we'll chat a little bit about what he's been doing up there for sure. But we're your hosts, Ashley and David Stremme. We're glad you joined us. It was, I stayed at home this weekend. David got to go to the racetrack. And he got to watch it rain, and a lot of places watched it rain this weekend.
I didn't go anywhere Friday, and we didn't race at all. But Saturday, I wanted to go watch the Super Late Models. Ray Cook's Southern National Tour had started at Witt, and we went up there, Gene Leffler and his girlfriend Tina and myself, just as fans. Mm-hmm. And it was quite interesting when we got there, a little bit of drizzle. But they ended up, packing a track in. They start running in. All of a sudden, boom, there's a heavy rain.
Just a drizzle.
Heavy rain. So I give credit to them because the fans never, ever left. They run the track in. They just did away with heat races. They had like 28 late models. You had Satterley was there. You had, obviously, Dale McDowell ended up winning. You had Bradshaw. There's a lot of guys. Ricky Weiss. Ricky Reese wasn't there. I wish he would have been there. But anyways, Vic Hill was there. Great super late model show. And it ended at, I think, like 2 o'clock. What time was it I called you or told you I was
don't
leaving?
even know. When you got home, it was 5 a.m.
It was 5 o'clock. So, anyways, it was a great show. And I know when it rains at Witt, getting the haulers out, there were still haulers in the infield at 1:30 the next day.
That's insane.
It was really crazy.
Unfortunately, several of them ended up wrecked.
Yeah, they did tear one up. And
yeah.
We had seen, I don't know if Robbie has it ready, but I took a picture of a little hauler. It was going into the infield. This guy had never been there, and he ended up wadding his truck up. There's the picture there. Luckily, his passenger, I think it was his girlfriend or wife, was just had her head hit the windshield, but they were all okay. She ended up getting checked out. He didn't race. He was kind of like, okay, that was it.
His car was wrecked too, I thought.
It wasn't that bad, but I think an omen would be like, look, we're going to park it.
You were done.
Anyways, it was exciting. Never a dull moment at Witt. That's why I went. So, but you know what? We talk about Hunter Marriott, and Ricky Thornton ended up, he's moved out of the Moyer Victory Circle car back to a Larry Shaw, ended up picking up his 100th win up at the North Dakota Tour. He picked up a couple wins. I'm not sure exactly what night was his 100th win, but it was really neat to see him on that. And then also Rodney Sanders picked up his 70th, 7-0 USMTS win.
And you know what boggles my mind about all of this is how young they are.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like Ricky, I don't know how Ricky is, but Rodney's all but 20-ish, 4 maybe, tops. And to know that he's got 70 wins is it just USMTS?
Just USMTS, yeah.
Right. So, I'd hate to know what his conglomeration of wins is because that's extremely impressive for 20 years old.
And I look at, when you look at the younger crowd of what I call younger, I'm getting a little older. I think I would fall in the middle, but the younger crowd, it's just like Gavin Landers was at Witt. He's been running with Chris Brown and their Sweet Bloomquist cars, and they were really, really good up there. Gavin ended up I don't think he's ever been to Witt, but he doesn't have a lot of experience in the super late models, and he had done an awesome job up there. And I look at the younger guys. Again, I don't look at Jared as a younger guy. He picked up a win this weekend, but the dirt racing has a very solid foundation of the veterans, but you have a really good up-and-comers, as you were going to say, of drivers. So it was really cool,
what
see
do you
Ricky
always say? They need those veterans to help mold them and teach them. And
well, when I raced in asphalt. I raced against Butch Miller, Mike Eddy. I mean, Mike Garvey. There's so many people that veteran guys, and I learned, and they would teach you, I guess you would say, the way to race. Just like how
don't door me, or you'll be doored back.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the dirt late model world, and I said this. I think his name's CJ from Speedway Illustrated. We were talking, Gene and all of us, AJ. Mm-hmm. That you look at Scott Bloomquist, and he ended up picking up the win at Granite City, but you look at the era of how many decades he's been racing, and that takes a lot. I see on the NASCAR side, you take Jimmy Johnson, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt. A lot of those guys, they separate themselves. Jeff Gordon, we'll put in there. And you go into the dirt world, Billy Moyer, Scott Bloomquist. There's a lot of guys that they change it. Brett Hearn, who we're going to talk to in the big block world.
I mean, I'd hate to know what his count is up to now at this point, win-wise. Is 600 or 800? Yeah. I don't even know.
But when you look at those, it says a lot, about how determined and how much drive they've had to stay on top, and it takes a lot. So,
well, let me ask you this though: back, in the '80s when they were racing, now that things have become more of an even playing field, so to speak, because you have the technology and that kind of thing, do you think back in the day it was easier to cheat? Maybe cheat's not the word I want to use. Find a niche that no one else was able to find at that point, and you were able to run with that setup or whatever it was that you found for weeks on end, and you would pick up the wins, where now that doesn't happen because people are on top of what's going on a little bit more?
I disagree.
Okay. I was just curious what you thought.
Before a guy would have his car, he built a car. If you, like in the asphalt world, they had Junior Hanley. But you got his car, and he had a trade. Yeah, you can go buy stuff, but still, as you purchase things, you still have to work and use a lot of those tools that not everybody has, or the how do I want to say it? It's the drive in somebody. Some people think, I'm just going to go buy it, and we're going to go, and it's going to be great. No, it's just like cutting your lawn. You got to go and massage and do all that little extra stuff. You just don't get on a lawnmower and go cut it. So,
that's what you do.
I know, but I don't care what the yard looks like. But when it comes to the race cars, I massage, I do all this stuff, we work. And just like right now, I was talking to a veteran late model guy over the weekend, and we were talking about some setup stuff, and I had some questions, because a lot of this is still very new to me, and I had some ideas. And he's like, oh, yeah, we did that 20 years ago. I don't know why we got away from it. And I'm like, racing is a circle. So the experience and everything is hard to beat, but it is easier to buy things, but just because you buy them don't mean you're going to win.
That's right.
So those guys, they still have that niche of tweaking and doing all their little stuff, and I mean it's and you still got to drive them too. That's why I like the dirt. Asphalt you can buy the stuffs and you can get by probably a little bit without talent. I'd say any more compared to what it used to be. But the dirt, you got to man up and get up on the wheel at times.
No doubt. Well, speaking of getting up on the wheel, we will be back to talk to Jason Feger here on Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
O'Reilly. If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, head to O'Reilly Auto Parts and take advantage of the exclusive Do It Right rebate. Just purchase a set of Brake Best Select or Select ceramic brake pads and you'll receive a $10 O'Reilly gift card by mail. Plus, enjoy quiet, safe, worry-free braking. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The Toyota racing team was born out of true American tradition. We've racked up 332 NASCAR wins. That's a whole lot of victory laps. Just last year, Toyota racing driver Kyle Busch took home the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. We even have Toyota drivers racing Tundras in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. But winning isn't our only tradition. Toyota has been in North America for almost 60 years. We have 10 Toyota assembly plants scattered throughout the United States. Those plants produce 9 of our models right here, including the Camry, Tacoma, and Tundra. In 2014, a total of 1.3 million Toyota vehicles were assembled here in America. That's a lot of cars. The production of all those vehicles has created thousands of American jobs. That's a lot of opportunities. Opportunities that we'd like to keep going for years to come. So let's go, America. Let's go, NASCAR. Let's go places. Head on over to toyotaracing.com to find more info on our drivers. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
This is Slingin Dirt presented by Hercules Tires. Joining us now, he picks up the win at Oakshade this weekend and 3 on the Hell Series Tour. It is Jason Feger. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Hey, good to be on.
Well, thanks for being on. We appreciate it. You picked up the win at Oakshade this weekend. Number 3 on the Hell Series Tour. Unfortunately, it only brought you to 2nd in points, but still a really great showing on the Hell Tour.
Yeah, we able to win 3. I feel like we were probably in contention to win 8 or 9 total there, and we had a few seconds and thirds, and had a really good car, especially the last 2 weeks, and being a new chassis, basically 2 weeks before we started the Hell Tour, we were able to learn a lot in a real short amount of time, and pretty happy with our overall performance.
That's what I and you hit on it, and one of the things that kind of I was watching you really went into Hell Tour kind of some unknowns with this new car, and then it was like, bam, you just got to what feel you wanted and really started taking off. How was your thoughts going into the Hell Tour with the what do they call it, the Moyer Victory Circle or Victory Circle Moyer? Or?
Yeah, no Victory Circle, just Victory.
Okay.
2 different things, but yeah, Moyer, Victory by Moyer.
Okay.
That's what you call them. I'm sure, but no.
Oh, Jason, I think we're losing you.
He's probably driving down the road.
Maybe.
Well, anyhow, we
can get him back on the line here.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we can. I know Billy Moyer had run some of the Hell Tour races right at the beginning, and I'm curious to see how a lot of that worked. I mean, they've really Chubb Frank switched over. There's a lot of guys gone to the what do you say it was?
Victory
by Moyer. I want to make sure I had that correct. So
and that's really, I think, a big pill to swallow.
Yeah.
So a series like the Hell Tour series is 2 months long, and you just jump in a new car. I think we have Jason back. Are you there, Jason?
Yep.
All right, perfect.
I'm back.
So we were just talking, how big of a chore that is that you took on literally weeks before a 2-month stint of racing. I mean, was there any concerns on your part in jumping in a new car?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, obviously, the cars I had been in over the past, I had fine-tuned and was really good at a lot of places with. But from the first night I jumped in this new car, I knew it was really fast and had a ton of potential. And I knew that, once we could kind of get it figured out exactly how I like it and stuff, that it would be better than what I was in. So and it's just a good chance to learn. And then, most of these tracks that we go to, I've been to lots of times, so that helps me as well, as far as I know what I'm looking for, and I can know how to drive the track even if the car is a little bit off. So it worked out really good, and I don't know, the car was real good at the bigger tracks. We knew that going in, and then it was actually the smaller tracks where I kind of struggled, and we were able just to make a few changes and keep getting it better and better.
With the Hell Tour over, what kind of grade would you give yourself over the overall performance you had?
I'd say probably like a B, just right in the middle. I mean, I feel like, kind of, if I could break it up into some different semesters there, I think we started off pretty good, but we were on some big tracks, and then we fell off there a little bit in the weeks 2 and 3, and then we really picked it up in weeks 4 and 5, but I'd say overall probably a B.
Jason, tell our listeners what it really takes to compete in the Hell Tour, not only just from your race cars, but mentally and physically, not just for you, but your entire crew.
Well, it's tough. I mean, You definitely got to have a good crew, and I had pretty much an all-new crew this year. I mean, a couple of the guys had done the tour before, but not with me and not together. But, you know, I think it doesn't matter if you take 4 guys and you put them in a 22-foot box for 5 weeks. There's going to be some issues, you know. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're going camping or canoeing or racing or whatever. It's just that's a tough deal, you know, and nobody really has any personal time or space or anything like that. So, and then you throw in, and, you know, this year wasn't too bad, but there still was some pretty hot days. You know, you're right here in the middle of summer and working all day out in the heat. And it's tough, you know, and it's just tough to stay fresh and focused. And you got to have really good equipment, you know, and we really did have really good luck this year mechanically. You know, we tore up a few body things, some suspension here and there, but, you know, just being in the middle of some incidents. But really, we were pretty fortunate. It was one of the smoothest hell tours I've had, you know, probably so far. But, you know, we did have 7 rainouts, so that helps a little bit, you know, stay fresh and be able to come home and stock up on fuel and tires and stuff like that. I mean, the year I won that deal, I think we did 19 straight days without a day off before we finally got a rain day.
Wow.
So it's tough, though. You know, it takes it's hard. It's just hard because we work so many hours a week in the garage getting these cars ready to go for 2 nights a weekend, and then you're trying to just do it every day. So there's just a lot of stuff that you overlook, and, you know, you can't keep the truck and trailer as clean as you like to and organized, and it's just hard and frustrating for me as a driver to know that there's stuff that it's not that you're overlooking it, it's just you don't have time to do it. So that makes it tough as a driver.
Do you, and you talk about all the whole hell tour, and then you don't have much time off because we have the Prairie Classic next week at Fairbury, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, is that your home track? One of your home tracks?
Pretty close, yeah. It's right down the road, you know, Farm City and Fairbury, they're, you know, half an hour, 40 minutes away, so we've kind of grown up racing there.
So do you race this weekend, or do you take this weekend off, kind of revamp and go and get ready for the Prairie Classic?
Yeah, we're gonna race this weekend. I love going out to I-80 for that Silver Dollar Nationals, and we've been out there I think the last 3 or 4 years in a row, and you know, I've almost won that thing a couple times, and it's really tough not to go out there this weekend. I mean, I really want to, but just better off to stay home, and we just got a lot of stuff to do, you know. So, but we got 5,000 at Farmer City Friday, and we're kicking around maybe going somewhere on Saturday, and then obviously we got to. It's wide open, man, because you figure we started with the Dream. You got the 3 hard days at the Dream after Memorial Day weekend, and then turn around that Wednesday. We're back on Hell Tour, and then so this week, you know, we could have went to that I-80, but we're not. And then next week we got 12,000 to win Lucas Show at Macon, Illinois, and then Quincy, Illinois Thursday before the Prairie Dirt Classic weekend, which goes into, you know, the 50,000 at Cedar Lake, and then we got 80,000 now to win Florence for next weekend. So it's just crazy, you know. There's just not enough resources. I feel like I need about 4 cars and 6 motors to be able to keep up and doing this, you know.
Or you could have a real job and have to sit behind a desk or do something else, right?
I'd have more free time, I know that.
You ever sit and you go, why am I punishing myself like this?
Yeah, all the time. It's just like it's frustrating, and it's like that's kind of the decision we had to make this week. You know, it's like that I-80 is one of my favorite tracks, but it's 8 hours away, and it's just, I guess, you know, I got to forego that one to try to do good at you know, Fairbury, and then you definitely want to Cedar Lake, and, you know, get ready for some of these other places. So sometimes you just got to know. It's tough to pick the ones to go to and the ones you can't go to, and what makes the most sense, you know, strategically and money-wise.
I don't know how. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, you know, I don't race nowhere near that much. But
thank God.
We'll race. I'll go out and race 3-4 nights, come home, and I'm like, all right, I got to work on this, going to work on this. But I really would have liked to be at the track trying things. Is that something that maybe you do as you're racing so much? You go, hey, these 2 nights we're just going to really kind of experiment with. Even though we're at the track, we're gonna do that, and then kind of go back to your basics type setup, or you just kind of stay that way all the time?
Yeah, no, I do that a lot, especially, like, I'm pretty fortunate. Like, we race Farmer City quite a bit. Like, you know, if there's no shows going on Fridays, I'll go to Farmer City. It's 30 minutes away, and it's always a really good track. So, I can try a lot of stuff there. And, like, this weekend we're going there for 5, but, you know, there'll be a few good cars, but there won't be the depth that you have at a lot of these shows. So you'll be able to get away with trying a few things, and then if you're a little bit off, you know, still maybe, you know, running up front or making the money. But, we do try stuff. It's just kind of like I guess you got to know when, and I got to feel like I got to have a car good enough to start trying stuff before, so I know what it's doing, But yeah, so it is tough because a lot of these guys, they're testing and stuff too, and it's like I just don't know how. There's just not enough hours in the day, with all this racing.
Yeah. You got, where you're at located, there's tons of racing up there, especially during the summertime. I tell my brother all the time, he's just over in Indiana. I'm like, look, slow down in May because you got, June, July, August, September. There's tons of racing around there, and it's really cool for the fans because we see them traveling around. Obviously the Hell Tour is great, but what is probably some of your favorite tracks or the time of year that you're racing that you really enjoy?
Well, this is obviously probably, any from Memorial Day to Labor Day, it's just insane, and there's so many races and so many good tracks, and, that's awesome. But, obviously, I really love this time of year. After the Hell Tour, the Prairie Dirt Classic's a great event, and the fans there are just crazy. I know you guys were there last year. And then Cedar Lake, Wisconsin, it's 50,000 to win, and the same thing. The atmosphere up there and the fans are just awesome. And, they're kind of up there out of the way. It's basically right by Minneapolis, so it's kind of like their World 100 up there, That's the biggest race a lot of those people go to all year long. And then you turn around and you got, the North-South and Florence and the World 100, and then, a couple weeks later you go to Knoxville, or actually it's a week later this year, so it is it's just like crown jewels every single weekend, and huge events with huge crowds, and it's just really neat, it's almost like racing like NASCAR every week, you know what I'm saying, for a month and a half straight, it's just huge events every weekend.
Yeah.
So it's just a whole different type of deal, you get all the best cars and drivers and, fans, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Prairie Dirt Classic, and growing up near Fairbury, I'm just curious because last year was our first time there, and it is an amazing atmosphere. Has it always been like that, even, back in the 80s? Yeah,
it really has. The Prairie Dirt Classic, I don't remember the very first one, what year was it, maybe 1989 or something. It was $10,000 to win and $1,000 to start, which,
wow.
Back then $1,000 to start, that was huge,
Yeah.
And it's kind of taken a while to get more on the national scene, it didn't have that real top-heavy number, but it's always been a really big race, and the track's always just had a really good atmosphere. The community there really supports that place, and, just like anything, they kind of have up and down years, but, man, they've really, worked hard here to build this thing up over the last, 4 and 5 years, and they've done a great job, and they've got, there's a lot of good, companies in that town that support it, businesses.
Absolutely.
And they sponsor it, and they'll do work at the fairgrounds and this and that. And it's really like a whole community thing there. And everybody kind of gets to reap the rewards and go in there, and it's a nice place and enjoy the atmosphere, So it's, they do a great job. If all the tracks we race that cared about their stuff like they do there, man, that'd be pretty awesome.
Well,
No doubt.
Jason, I know we're going to be busy because we're moving into a house doing stuff, but I told the wife, I said, hey, I'm going to Fairbury, so we're going to make the 14-hour trip back up there, and we'll see you there, and definitely go have a cold one with you, and you enjoy your time this weekend, and thanks for coming on the show here.
Absolutely. Anytime. I really appreciate being on.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
It's neat to hear his enthusiasm of that many races,
Right.
because I go, man, I'd be tired.
Even though he sounds like it's a tough job, that's why I said it beats the alternative of working somewhere else.
Yep.
But it does weigh on you. But a man who's been doing it for a really long time, we'll talk to next. Brett the Jet Hearn here on Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Come join us every weekend at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. Hi, I'm Rob Tanner, your host and master of the grill, as we get you ready for high-octane NASCAR racing with hot laps and hot tracks. We serve up 2 hours of the best hits in country music and keep you up to date with racing news and features you won't find anywhere else. Sit down and have a seat. It's a regular weekend pit stop for country music at the speed of sound. NASCAR USA on the Motor Racing Network.
Looking to find the best place for all the latest NASCAR Sprint Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, K&N, and Modified Series news? MRN.com is the place to go. Your online home for NASCAR news, opinion, podcasts, videos, race schedules, results, and statistics. Award-winning motorsports writers keep you informed and up-to-date on all the latest breaking NASCAR news and in-depth stories and opinion. MRN.com, your online home for all the NASCAR information you're looking for. This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires. Joining us now on the hotline, he is the man, the myth, the legend. It is Brett Hearn. Welcome back to the show, Brett.
Hey, how are you guys?
We are doing well. Are you guys on your way to Eldora right now?
Actually, pulled in here about an hour ago, and we're staging, getting ready to go into the pit area shortly.
So how many cars are there so far?
Well, it looks like quite a few, actually. I think,
Nice.
I mean, I'm just guessing. I mean, I think we're looking at, as far as dirt modifieds go, probably maybe 40.
Wow, that's pretty good. The what's the fans and everything? I mean, I think the big blocks are going to bring a lot of energy besides the Craftsman truck race there. But I mean, what are some of the things you're seeing around there, and if you could kind of explain to some of our viewers that maybe aren't going.
Well, I mean, I think right now everyone's just kind of chilling out here in the staging area. Tracks across the street, and that's just people meandering around looking at, because there's a couple cars out. Guys got cars out of their trailers, and people are just meandering around looking at the equipment and just chatting a little bit with everybody.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 10 years since the Super Dirt Car Series has been at Eldora. Brett, you've won at Eldora. What is it? Are you excited to be back? Are you excited to be on this stage with the Truck Series? Do you think it's going to bring recognition to the Super Dirt Car Series?
Well, I mean, this place is historically is one of the tracks in the country to be at, and I think it's important for our series to be here for that exposure. And I mean, quite honestly, our real 100-lap race and point race is tonight. Tomorrow is more of an exhibition than anything and a filler. But, for us to be racing in front of, the crowd that'll be here, however many that is, I mean, it's going to be immense and great exposure for us.
So, I mean, when you talk 10 years, I think about setups have obviously changed and doing stuff. What are some of the things? Can you look back at some of your notes from then? Or can you take stuff like, hey, maybe we run this at Volusia or some other tracks that you can take towards tonight?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Volusia, because I think in a lot of ways it's kind of similar. Maybe obviously a lot more banking, but for our cars, gear wise and setup wise, it's quite similar. And I'll just think back to the first time that I came here. Set fast time and had a great race to win that thing the first time. And I'll go back and look at those notes, because I have those notes with me, and we'll kind of compare gears and stuff like that. But I mean, I think it's a whole new ball game. I mean, these cars have evolved so much in the last 10 or 15 years that they may look the same, but they aren't. And so it's a whole new ball game here today. But you know what the cool thing is? Nobody in our race got a lot of lap time here, so there's no real advantage from a driving standpoint, I don't think. Maybe Tim Fuller's got a couple late model races here. He might have a few more laps here than most, but for the most part, this is really neutral ground for us.
So do you, as your team or some of the others, I know when they would go to Syracuse for the big race, they'd bring in new cars, all this aero stuff. Did you do anything different, or you just kind of brought your same old car that you've been running?
Well, I run on my Saturday night home track is Lebanon Valley, and it's a high bank, more of a paper clip type track, but it is a high bank track, and I've got a car that I run there on Saturday nights. And we just brought it out here. We got out here Sunday morning, and we just tightened things up on it a little bit, body work wise, and we know that the speeds are going to be faster, but this car is really designed for this type of racing and this type of racetrack. So I'm pretty comfortable with that part.
Well, and they really prep the track for the trucks, and it's always a dry, hard, slick track. Is that factor into what you typically are used to on a regular basis?
Pretty much this year, that's all we've really dealt with. It's been crazy. I guess the only thing that we don't want to happen, I mean, there's a difference between a dry, slick track that you can run anywhere on and one of those dry, slick tracks that turns into one lane with rubber, 20 laps into a 100-lap race, which is really no fun. So, I mean, I'm optimistic that this thing just stays where you can run all over it all night long. But, I mean, with the trucks here, I just really, we really don't know what to expect yet.
When she was sitting here describing the track, I'm thinking, that's
a
Brett Hearn type race right there.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not put your money on you? And I think of yourself, obviously, I bet Friesen, he'll be up top banging the right rear off the wall and everything else. I mean, Shepard will be there. But when I think of that dry, slick, really have to have, patience is a Brett Hearn type race.
I guess you could say that that's been my strength, I guess. So maybe it'll be right in my wheelhouse tonight.
Well, I hope so. I already seen fans when you talked about saying unloading your car, they were tweeting pictures because you had taken up some parking spots, but they loved it. They said like, "Hey, it's great that you guys are there." So I think it's exciting. The fans really welcoming the Super Dirt Car Series and getting that, dirt racing, because I know you guys are going to put on a great show over there at Eldora.
Yeah, I think it'll be I think we'll put on a great show. I think we'll be pretty fast. I mean, we're not going to be World of Outlaws sprint car fast, but we'll be pretty fast. And I think the fans will enjoy the side-by-side racing that we can provide. So, that part will be good. And again, a lot of these, it's amazing how many fans even out here in Ohio, know exactly what our series is all about. They've seen us run maybe Charlotte, maybe seen us run in Florida, or seen us run on TV. So they're kind of familiar with us more than you might expect.
That was going to be my next question, because I mean, ultimately, in the middle of the season like this, traveling to Eldora probably isn't at the top of your want-to-do list. We all travel to Volusia, but we're all ready to go racing. Does this kind of throw a wrench in your schedule going this far west compared to where you're running right now?
Yeah, if anyone knows, we're locked into our home tracks that we have to run for our bonus points. Mm-hmm. So everyone's got to get back for the weekend to do their normal thing, which makes this traveling this far in the middle of the week difficult. But it seems to me like everyone is so enthused about coming to this particular track that they're willing to put up with whatever it takes. And for instance, like we drove out here Saturday night with no sleep and went right to work on Sunday morning, 11 hours later. So I think this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing guys that have come out to Eldora today that you normally wouldn't expect to be even at a tour race in New York, and they've come all the way out here to Eldora because they want to be part of this.
Wow. Well, I'm hoping, Thursday we're going to be at Sharon, Ohio, and Super Dirt Cars are going to be there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you there and watching the big block cars race at Sharon there.
Yeah, I mean that's our next stop after here, and at some point we'll start to readjust our focus and figure out what we got to do to get fast there too.
Well, I do give them credit for at least giving you a race on the way back home to hit on. That way you're not just driving all the way out here for one race.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat little tour deal for us. A 3-race Ohio swing. We haven't been in Ohio, like you said, in about 10 years, and so it's a great opportunity for us to showcase our stuff in Ohio, at least one swing, and maybe we can come back and do it again next year.
Hey, so looking ahead, and I touched on Syracuse a little bit, but obviously with Super Dirt Car Week, Oswego was announced. I think it's really cool, but yet I'm a little disappointed that it's not at the new facility. What are your thoughts, going towards that race and racing at Oswego?
Well, in my mind, I think we're just starting to see the picture become a little clearer, and if anybody could pull it off, World Racing Group has done this before at paved tracks to run World of Outlaw sprint car races, so they're very much capable of pulling this off. One what we don't know yet is we haven't seen a format. We don't know if we're doing live pit stops, if there's even a pit road there. I don't really, see one. So we're doing live pit stops. Are we not doing live pit stops? 300. We think that it's a 300 lapper, but we haven't seen all the details yet. So, this is going to be something that we'll be looking at like in the next month or so, and it's going to have to evolve a little bit before we even understand what we're up against.
Do they? Does World Racing Group talk to the drivers and car owners and get their opinion too on maybe what everybody going forward would be the best effort and put on the best show?
I haven't been asked, so I don't know if anybody else has. But
I would think they'd ask you.
They haven't, so I guess they have. I'm assuming that they have something in mind, or a firm idea what they want to do.
You talk about the live pit stops, and for the race fans, it's enjoyable to watch. As a crew member, maybe not so much. As a driver, do you care either way?
Well, I think to make the event unique, that as Syracuse was, as difficult as it is for teams to pit cars live once a year, and believe me, it's challenging. That's the kind of race it has to be. It has to be a live pit stop race, run similar to the way that we raced on the mile, and trust me, it's difficult to get those get guys to learn it and be able to do it once a year, and sometimes it can be almost comical, but it's got to be part. I think it's got to be part of the race to make it anything like we had at the mile.
Yeah, I mean, I hope for the fans, Super Dirt Car Week, that it lives up to the prestige that Syracuse had, and we got to have some of the history, kind of keep it going, and long races, live pit stops. That's what Syracuse was. So many things, and hopefully, I think at the end of the day, everybody will put in a great effort, and it'll be a really good show, moving forward and keeping fans and interest going.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can duplicate the atmosphere even to any extent. If they can duplicate the atmosphere they had at the mile, it'll be challenging. It'll be interesting to see how many people buy in and how many people take a wait-and-see attitude.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be tough, I think, to bring that atmosphere. I think you'll still have good racing and a lot of fans. I just don't know if it's going to be Super Dirt Week like we know. But
it's a new era. So.
Yeah. Well, Brett, we appreciate you being on the show, and best of luck this weekend at Eldora. Hopefully we'll see you in Victory Lane.
Well, I hope so, and if not, I guess it sounds like I'll see you guys on Thursday night.
That's exactly right.
We'll for sure come see you Thursday, so good luck to you tonight.
All right.
Thanks, Brett.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. That'll be...
if there's a guy who can get it done, it is that man.
Yes, I mean, I have my three.
Yeah.
It'll probably come down to is either Matt Shepard, Stuart Friesen, or Brett Hearn. Sorry to everybody else.
You might want to throw Tim Fuller in there.
Fuller's
just saying.
Gotten better. I'm just saying that's
just because
hard.
He's won there before.
I know, but I'm just saying those
and
three.
Billy Decker.
I really think you'll see that, like Brett said, there's guys going to elevate to that next level. They're pushing. They're motivated. It's a big race. They're in front of a big stage.
The prestige. Absolutely.
Yes,
it's Eldora. I mean, let's be completely honest. Even when we race our modifieds there, it's such a big deal. People from all over go because it is Eldora.
Eldora's become I guess you would say, a historical monument, in Ohio. It's kind of like going to how NASCAR's going to the Brickyard this weekend. They're in Indianapolis.
Absolutely.
When dirt cars, any kind of form of dirt racing goes to Eldora. You look at, I will say this before we go to break. I love wing cars. I would rather watch a late model race, but Thursday night, the Joker race at Eldora was phenomenal. Donnie Schatz and David Gravel and all them. I'm gonna give it to the push start cars. They were very fun to watch. I've seen highlights of it. But Saturday when I was at WIT, Chris Ferguson's girlfriend, I didn't know this, her brother runs sprint cars, and she was just kind of like, yeah, I come out to watch the late models, and I'm like, we're talking, and she's like, oh, they don't pass. I was like, don't pass, you should see wing cars. So anyways, it was kind of quite the vocal going on. But we had fun.
So what you're saying is her and I would get along.
I told her that. So, but anyways, it was a great show. So again, the Kings Royal, you look at any form of dirt car that goes there to Eldora.
I think just any race to say you've won at Eldora is saying something.
And The other thing before we go to break,
Yeah.
one more thing. Roger Slack and Tony have done a great job keeping the history and everything that goes with Eldora.
Keeping true to Eldora.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Well, we've got to go to break so we can talk to Hunter Marriott coming up next here on Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
O'Reilly.
If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Before you set your fantasy racing lineup, check in with our experts to get the inside line on who's fast and who's last entering the race weekend. Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett take you inside the facts, stats, and latest news from the track so you have everything you need to set your team and win the weekend. Log on to MRN.com and enter the Media Center every Friday. It's the inside line on demand and only on the Motor Racing Network. Join the Motor Racing Network every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. Get the latest news and exclusive interviews from the biggest names in the sport.
One thing, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't worry about people judging and just...
Hear the thoughts and opinions from NASCAR insiders.
Look at what he's been able to do with the Wood Brothers since they returned to full-time competition this year. Now, obviously...
It's NASCAR Live every Tuesday evening at 7 Eastern on the Motor Racing Network. This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back. We're the Stremmies, and you're listening to Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires. He is known as the Hustler, and now he's known as your Dakota IMCA Mod Tour champion. It is Hunter Marriott. Welcome to the show, Hunter.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
We are doing well, and so are you. You're the new Mod Tour champion. I mean, how exciting.
It is. It's very exciting, especially coming up from the few years past we've been going. Just the progress we made going up through there is unreal.
How would you grade your whole North Dakota tour? I mean, obviously you won the championship.
An A.
Well, I mean, do you think you could have been better in places, or you thought everything went perfect?
I think there's 3 tracks we're pretty dominant at that I don't think that anybody could beat us. But the last track there in the Mandam, Dakota Speedway, we were a third-place car there, and we tried to get better, and we just need some more time there to get to where we need to be.
Well, I mean, I was curious because obviously it's not like the Hell Tour where there's 30-some days of racing and so forth, but the North Dakota Tour, it's a pretty hard tour. I mean, you got to go around. What's the average of travel and distance between each track?
150 miles, 200. I mean, every day it's a 2-hour drive most of the time. So what we do, we always load up at night and drive at night, and that way we can sleep in and get rested up for the next day.
So we've seen you dabble in a little bit of the USMTS, but you've mostly been running IMCA racing. Are you going to run some more USMTS races?
Well, I'm getting ready for the Silver Dolphin this weekend. I plan on running Brian Rowland's car this weekend. So we're going to play around with it a little bit and see where that goes. And those guys are awesome. And just for letting me have that opportunity. So
well, you
make sure
you give Brian and Shannon and everybody a hard time. All right, I want to make sure you have Brian.
Give
working.
Shannon a hug for me. You don't have to give her a hard time.
Yeah, you make sure Brian's working. Spraying the Widow wax on the car and keeping it clean.
That's right. On that.
Yeah.
So you've won the championship. Ultimately, I mean, you're going to run for these guys now. Is there any? Do you want to run the Hell Tour at any point? Is that something? I mean, I know it's a little bit farther for you, so it would be a solid 2 months on the road. But is it something that you're interested in doing?
Definitely interested in doing it. Anything new and different for me is awesome, and I'm really looking forward to getting to a late model sometime soon in my future. So, I mean, it's hard to tell what it's going to bring, but I'm always up for anything.
They have it's here in a month and a half. Obviously, Boone Nationals coming up. But what's interesting is there's some other big races going on that weekend. That the big 40,000 to win up in Wisconsin. Where is Hunter Marriott Racing going to head to?
I'm headed to Super Nationals. That's where my heart's at, and that's just there's no other feeling that I get when I pull out on that racetrack with everybody there. It's one of the races I want to win, and I think as good as we're running, we got a good chance to do it, and that's where my heart is. So that's where I'll be.
And I think it kind of relates. We were just talking to Brett Hearn about Eldora and the prestige that it has. I think Boone Nationals ranks right up there with the prestige that the race, ultimately brings. Everybody wants to win that race because it is so phenomenal.
Yeah, ultimately it is. And just like you see like guys like Scott Bloomquist and Jonathan Davenport run at Eldora, which is really cool, so it makes you want to go run there. It's just it's too bad they can't have a race like that at Boone.
Yeah, I think Boone does. One thing is they do a phenomenal job at farming the track. Two is it's really great of how the fans come out. I know last year was my first time there, and what I love seeing is you have the old NASCAR kind of feeling where guys are buying T-shirts and hats and wearing their favorite drivers' apparel, and I think that's a big part for a driver to say too. When you're looking around and you're like, wow, there's this many people here. It doesn't matter what it pays. It's just cool to race in front of that many people.
That's right. It is. It is.
So what else? So you're going to run for Rollins this weekend. You're doing Boone Nationals. What else is on your schedule for the year?
We go to Vegas in November, and there's definitely a few specials in the Midwest that we hit here and there throughout the weekends. But it's hard to tell. We've had a busy season so far, and we've hit it hard here the last month. And I know we have 1,000 stars, and I have 10,000 stars in Britt, Iowa for sure. But we're just kind of on cruise mode right now, and whatever options come up, we're taking.
So with you're based out of the Iowa area, is that correct?
Actually, North Central Missouri is where the base is out of. But I've got a few buddies up there that I just go around to their shops, and wherever I unload is where I unload.
So what are some of the places that maybe you haven't been racing this year or you're not going to be able to go to that you really set out and say, hey, I want to go race at this track?
There's really not too many places. I pretty much do and go about wherever we want to. So, the East Coast, I'd really like to go over there and race some, but I haven't got that opportunity yet, and I'm looking forward to that hopefully next year. That I've talked to Kyle Strickler a little bit, and we're talking about teaming up and doing some stuff over there, but we're not. That's just talking. So
awesome.
Well, that sounds like it'd be an interesting storm to brew up. It would. But,
yeah, it definitely would be interesting. But me and Kyle are good buddies, and just see what the works plans out over the winter and go from there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you get to go. Eldora. They have the UMP Nationals. It's a great 3 days. You have so many races, as you had said, in the East Coast. You look at through Illinois, a lot of the mod races there, or even late models for that fact that have races.
Yep. It's definitely a lot of big names out there, that's for sure. There isn't a person that wouldn't want to race out there with those guys.
Well, I was just scrolling through your Facebook, and I came across the picture of you chugging something out of your championship trophy there.
Yeah, we definitely have some fun up there in North Dakota. There's a lot of good people up there. That's one of the reasons why we go up there. We got a lot of buddies and friends, so we definitely try to enjoy our time when we're on the road. That's why we do this. If we couldn't enjoy it, then we wouldn't be doing it.
Now, do you have a daily job Monday through Friday, and then you just race on the weekends, or is racing ultimately your job?
No, racing is ultimately my job. We do disaster cleanup.
Oh.
So I worked 7 weeks this year so far, besides racing. And
nice.
Usually it's about 2 months a year. I go out and work, and just whenever my dad tells me, hey, you can make some money here, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come to work then,
So like major, are you talking like hurricanes, or are you talking like fuel spills?
It's more of a ice storm, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, that kind of cleanup.
That's cool.
No oil spills for us, but just basically natural disasters.
Well, there's a lot of that here in the States, that's for sure. I just seen a hailstorm up in Montana that looked like it was snowing, like it had
I don't think he
6 inches
cleans
of
up
snow,
ice.
But, yeah.
the ice from the hail will probably just smell.
But right where you're located, there's a lot of tornadoes up in that area, and hopefully there's...
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of bad weather. I mean, you just never know what's going to be next.
So we've had farmers on here. We've had
prison
guards. Security guards. And now we've had disaster cleanup.
Disaster relief
That's
cleanup.
right.
I love it. That's what I love about these guys, though, is they are working men, and they get to still race and have fun. But what you bring to the table, other than your ability to drive, is really interesting and intriguing to me. So
that's the fun part about it. I mean, you never know what I'm gonna be doing, so it always keeps me on my toes.
What's with winning the North Dakota championship this weekend or this past week, does that set up there on the highest of your accomplishments, or what's probably the best accomplishment you've had so far?
Looking back, it is the biggest one I've got. I grew up around the Nebraska racing, and I won the Cornhusker Classic last year, and that was definitely a big one for me. I grew up around Johnny Sadoff, and that was always one of his big races that he won, and I got to win that last year, and that was pretty cool. But that North Dakota Tour champion is definitely one up there.
Well, it's a really cool title, and we're happy to see you get it, and congratulations. And
yes,
we'll maybe see you around. Maybe.
Yeah, I figured it might be a Super Nationals. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. It's on the schedule.
I won't be at Super Nationals.
Okay.
I had
then
one.
No, we're
and
not
that
going.
So.
One year is enough.
One year was plenty enough for me out there. I had if you get tired of racing, just go to Boone Nationals because it wore me out. But anyways, best of luck to you.
Yes.
And we'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Hunter.
you. So
that's awesome.
He'll be going to Boone
Yeah.
because it sounds like the nightlife is good for him out there. But which they do. They have a great time at night. Golf carts going everywhere, ATVs, all that stuff. So anyways,
craziness.
Yeah, it is. It's nuts.
Well, we'll talk about some more craziness right after the break here on Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
It's everybody just trying to say my last name. They just don't finish it.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
And here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
For the most part, our hearts were wagon makers.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
Motor Racing Network has a way for you to reach out and express your thoughts and opinions on NASCAR. It's the MRN Fan Forum Hotline.
Just wondering, what's the first thing you tend to
I was curious about those new rules from what I heard.
Call in 844-4-ASK-MRN. Got a question or comment for a driver or MRN personality? 844-4-ASK-MRN.
You guys keep it on. Let's see you guys next
It's
weekend.
the Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to the sport of NASCAR.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevates your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
One final lap in the Daytona 500. Joey Logano has the point. Junior crosses over.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt, where the Stremmies, I forgot to say it was presented by Hercules Tires, but we are thankful that Hercules Tires helps us out with the show here for sure.
I'm going to correct myself from earlier. I was wrong. Ricky Weiss was there.
Mhm.
He ended up he
at
finished
Wiss?
7th. Yes, but there's guys like Stacy Bowles, Billy Ogle Jr. The list goes down. Ferguson was there. There's a lot of good cars there. So I really enjoyed watching. Dale McDowell obviously had ended up again. He won and done a really good job. Even though I thought Donald Bradshaw was going to get it. He just lost it right towards the end. So
you'll have that in
anyways,
big time auto racing.
But go on.
I just wanted to say, which I think is where you were heading as well, just our thoughts out to Steve Francis.
Yep.
He was hit in the head this weekend, they think with lead, and ended up with a concussion and hit the wall head on.
I don't know necessarily if it was lead.
He got hit with something.
He definitely got hit with something. Luckily, it didn't fracture his jaw, just broke his nose. He had done some stuff. But Jared Landers, we've seen have a horrible wreck. He wrecks and then wins the next night.
Yeah.
But when you look at everything, you look at Chris Madden, Randy Weaver, Francis, all have concussions. And then you had Dale Jr. sit out this weekend at Loudon. He had it, I think it was 6 years ago. It's something that we have to really pay attention to. A lot of guys, they keep working on safety stuff, and we keep finding out more medically and doing all this. And everybody's body is different. So, I mean, that's something that you got to really know where you're at. And again, we're very lucky if Francis was okay because, I mean, he not only when he got hit, it knocked him out, he hit the wall after that.
Yeah.
So it was very scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and our good friend Dave Blaney, he dealt with one as well. And it's kind of scary, I know a lot of people gave Dale Jr. a big ta-da about it and were pretty upset that he wasn't racing, but ultimately his health is what's most important, and not just today, 20 years from now.
Yeah, the thing is we don't know the technology and medicine and everything. They keep learning more and more, but we don't know the recovery rates of them or anything else. So it just takes time. I mean, as we learn more, does it come back, as fast? We don't know. So anyways, our thoughts are with all of them. I mean, it's a lot to go through.
For sure. So we're thinking of y'all.
Super Dirt Car tonight.
That's right. It is absolutely.
If not, get on social media.
That's right. Follow us on Slingin Dirt. Tweet us your pictures. We want to see them. But we thank you for joining us today. We're the Stremmies. You can find us later in the media center at mrn.com.
This has been Slingin Dirt with Ashley and David Stremme. Listen every Tuesday at 11 Eastern on mrn.com for more news, interviews, and opinion from dirt tracks all over America. Slingin Dirt is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.